Okay, well, let's get rolling with it. So today's topic is habit formation around exercise, going to the gym, and yoga, and with movement in general. So we're going to be talking about that. I'm going to be doing the going to the gym part of that. Miss Deanna is going to be doing the yoga part of that. And then Stefan will be doing the movement part of that. Just the gist, says Mr. Spencer. Absolutely. So before we begin, a little icebreaker game. We
I
are
forgot
going
about that
to
one.
do.
Ooh.
Ha ha ha. I was even nice and I sent you guys the question beforehand in the agenda.
Oh
So,
man,
yeah.
I
So
think
the
I missed
first,
that.
you
Good.
missed it.
No, I like it.
Snooze, you
I'm glad that
lose.
I did. No, it's good.
It's more in the moment.
Exactly.
Okay. So the question is, what is something someone would never guess about you just by looking at you or talking to you for a few minutes? Something totally hidden. So I'll go first. So something no one would ever guess about me, especially my skin color, because my parents are from India, is that I was born in the Northwest Territories of Canada. Way, way north. It's this place called 𝐸nuvic, Northwest Territories. It's 200 kilometers north of the Arctic Circle. And I grew up in the snow. I know how to, like, I've ridden on dog sleds. I knew how to drive a skidoo before a
Wow.
vehicle. Yeah. And I like have hunted, well, I know how to set rabbit traps and things like that.
Wow.
So yeah, very, very unique upbringing. I was born there, and my two siblings were born there and lived there until I was 10 years old. And then we moved to BC. So
Dang.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
All
Top
right.
that.
Yeah. What you guys got?
Stefan, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'm debating between two.
Just say both of the tell us both. Both.
Yeah.
We want to
Okay,
hear both.
so because I don't want it also to be about nationality, but obviously, like the way that I am, and with you will never be able to tell that I was born in Russia and like full Russian, not like military brat, because everybody goes, "Oh, we're like your parents' station." Nope, like Russian. Then we moved over here. My dad was a theoretical physicist. My mom's an engineer, like Russian. The stereotype all the way. So I don't have an accent. My brother has a tiny accent. My parents are like, you're like, oh, you're Russian. You can definitely tell with the accent. It's very obvious. And then the other part that most of the time people can't tell, especially virtually with any other stuff, is that I'm blind. That I am legally blind, and everybody's a beautiful blur. I think that's the one. It eventually comes
Wow.
out, but not something people know right away. And that I was not born with that. That happened over the last 5 years.
Wow.
But I won't. That's a long story.
He has a
Yes.
very good sense of humor about it, and only he can make jokes about him being blind.
No.
But I love it. I love it.
Anybody can make jokes about me being blind. I love it. I do. I truly do.
No, but the extent that you go, like the things that you
Oh,
say, I'm just like, okay, only you could say that. I could never say things like that, but it's hilarious. And it makes a lot of sense
Good
that
for
you're
you.
from
Yeah.
Russia because of of certain things I've noticed about you. So it makes sense. I didn't know that.
I'm
Well, now that
curious now, but go ahead, Deanna.
yeah. So now that we're talking about origin, I come from Romania. So maybe this is something that people wouldn't know. I speak 5 languages, just because in Europe we do speak many different languages, especially because nobody speaks Romanian. And I think let's say it's a fun fact more, and not something that people would guess normally, but I've known Mr. Husband since I was 2 years old.
Oh,
And
I didn't know that.
he's the first boy I ever liked in my life.
Oh,
I
I
was,
didn't.
yeah.
That's
That is
so
cool.
heartwarming.
Yeah.
But you've been with other people since, right? And
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, because I liked him back then and he wasn't interested. Because I was 2 and he was 5, so he was already grown up. I was not interesting at that time. But things changed when we grew up.
right.
Roles switched.
Ah, that's ideal. That's nice
Yeah.
for you, I guess. Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys. So that's a very interesting about all of us. Okay, let's get into it then. So the topic today for those joining in the audience is about habit formation, how to stay consistent when those days get tough, whether you're a newbie or whether you are kind of going to the gym, you like flip-flop a little bit, or whether you are a veteran in advance. We're going to be covering all different topics. So there's going to be something in there for everyone. So the first thing that we're going to cover is the newbie, the person who either has had a long hiatus from being active, or someone who has just never started before and would like to get into the habit of exercise. And yeah, so why don't we go with Deanna first? How about you go first? And how can somebody surprise? How can somebody get into yoga or flexibility training if they haven't done it for so long, or you know, just don't know where to start?
Well, first, congratulations that you want to. That's already the first step. That's amazing. And you should congratulate yourself for that and be proud. I think the first thing that comes to mind is to be gentle. I find that at the beginning we have, you know, big plans, and we say, okay, I'm going to work out or go to the yoga this many times a week, and I'm going to work out for this long every day, and so on. And then, but sometimes, or a lot of the times, these goals are not realistic. So just at the beginning, be gentle and start small. Just think about it, that even if you do 10 minutes a day of something, it's infinitely more than doing nothing. So even those minutes, or half an hour or an hour, whatever, however long you're doing it, it's already a plus. So the first suggestion would be to start slow. My second suggestion would be to make it easy for yourself, as easy as possible. Find a studio or a gym that is 5 minutes walking distance from you. Or buy some weights at home or a mat and just put it somewhere in a room where you can just enter the room and be on the mat already, or be able to grab those weights right away. Or if you want to go running, have your clothes and your running shoes by the door, right? So that the only thing that you have to do the next day when you start, that to put those clothes on or go to that certain room, or so make it as easy as possible for yourself. And then the third thing would be to schedule. So to know exactly when you're going to do it. Because if you're saying tomorrow, then you're going to wake up in the morning and say, oh, I don't feel like this right now. Maybe I'm going to do it a little bit later. And then later comes and you're busy. And then evening comes and you're tired, and it's not going to happen. So I think it's important to for sure, schedule it, know exactly when, and make time for it. So these would be my first three. I have other suggestions as well, but I find that these ones are the most effective in the beginning, especially.
Awesome points. Fantastic. Stefan, Dr. Stefan, what would you say?
So, and this is in terms of overall movement. So I have my own little soapbox of where I think a lot of people get very engaged and mislabel movement and exercise as the same thing. Movement is all movement. Exercise is a subsection of movement. Exercise is wonderful, but we should just think, ooh, I need more movement in my life. Exercise is the only thing I can possibly do. It is not the only thing you can do. And so in terms of building habits of movement, I agree pretty much with everything that Diana said, because it is starting small. But when I even say start small, I say start so small that you could do it right now. That it doesn't even have to be a thought of, can I do this? Is this going to be hard? Just do the thing. It could literally be, I'm going to just stand up from the couch now. I'm going to sit right back down. Great. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do anything after that, but it's just starting that initial habit formation of, I am doing the things that I'm saying, and getting it into your brain of, I am actually in control of all of this. It is not going to be everything else dictating my life. I can do this. Even just standing up, or even just putting my shoes on. You don't have to go for the walk. You don't have to go to the gym. You can put your shoes on and take them right off. Though most of the time you'll put them on and go, well, this is silly. I should do something. So starting so freaking small that it seems just silly not to start it right now. Because I agree, those kind of things of diet starts Monday, or, new year, new me. Those are all ways that you're setting yourself up for failure, because you're basically saying, I am not that person. I am only going to be that person sometime in the future, as opposed to saying, well, these are things I could do right now. And then speaking of kind of more of that long-term thing for beginners, there's a lot of stuff out there that says, okay, it takes 21 days to build a habit. If it took 21 days to truly build a habit, all those 30-day challenges would be incredibly successful, and we would still be doing all of them because the habit would be formed. But it's not. We finish the 30 days and we go, all right, I'm done. I'm never doing that again. That was so hard. That's why in the world am I doing that? Either you're doing too much, or maybe also it's too little time. So actually, studies show that it takes anywhere from 66 days to a year to form a habit. And that sounds discouraging, but if we really look deep inside, we realize, yeah, like the habits that we have now, and by the way, whether or not you like it, you have some sort of habit. If it's the habit of just sitting and watching Netflix, it's still a habit. They have formed over time, and because they were easy. Just like Anna said, make it easy. You need to make the right thing easy and the wrong thing hard. And that's how we can develop more and more of that habit.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I'm just gonna echo all of what you guys said. Agree, Deanna. Agree with Stefan. I think it's important to let watchers know why that's so important. Starting easy is because when you pick something easy and you accomplish that, that sends a reward signal to your brain. So when you have small successes consistently again and again and again, that creates a snowball effect. So yeah, maybe one day all you did was put on your shoes and walk out the door, walk around your block and come in. Well, freaking great. Like, that's awesome. At least you did it. And the next day, maybe go for like a 10-minute walk and then get success at that. So those small wins eventually amount to you like realizing you can do it, and it creates that snowball effect, which that's how you climb the mountain, right? Small steps over time. And it can be very debilitating to think about the long-term goal. Like if somebody wants to lose 20 pounds in a year, then it's so important to break that down. So for beginners out there, like, yes, set your long-term goal, but then also set your short-term goal with 6 months and also even 3 months or even a month. Like, what do I want to accomplish this month? And then once you get success at that, keep going. And again, that's going to create this reward and those dopamine hits every time you cross something off your list. It gets you to keep going. So those are some very important things. And then for me, for like the gym person, I would say a lot of people are afraid to start because they're intimidated by the gym. And I completely understand that. I've been there too when I first started. And educate yourself, right? If you don't know what to do, if you don't know what you're doing, there's so many resources out there, and that's still an action step, right? That's still a step towards your goal, is like watching a YouTube video. Maybe you're not getting yourself in the gym. Well, at least you're doing something that you can, check off the box. And then with that will gain confidence and you can go into the gym more. Or if you're uncomfortable around being people, well, go into a quiet area. And for me, I used to go in those group fitness classes, and because sometimes you're bending over and doing things in a way that you don't want others to see. Maybe you're not confident about your body yet. Go find a space or go find a women's only gym if you're a woman. But yeah, like, that's what I would have to say. Really helps, and also embrace the difficulty. It's going to be difficult, and I think a lot of people, well, you just got to embrace it. Embrace the hardship, and object in motion is likely to stay in motion, but an object at rest is going to stay at rest. So you need more inertia and more power in the beginning to get started, but the beginning is the hardest part. And I don't think people realize that. And when they look at people who have been consistent for so long, they're like, oh my God, how do you do that? And it's like, it gets easier. It gets easier because once you're in that momentum, you just keep going. You just keep going. Yeah. So if anyone out there is like a newbie or just getting back into it, know the first 3 weeks to a month is going to be the most difficult. But if you get past that sticky part, you're in the clear. Keep going. So. Yeah. Miss Deanna, do you have anything else? Any other pieces of advice for beginners or newbies?
I do have, but I'll mention them later because the set of questions that you sent is actually very, very good, and it will cover those things.
Okay. Sounds good.
Well.
Stefan, would you like to add anything, or should we move on to the next question?
I think that I don't want beginners, if you are a newbie and you are listening, yes, there might be some parts that you have to push through. That sounds overwhelming. I hear you. I think the one thing that nobody has yet said is keep it fun for yourself. Yes, we're talking about our respective disciplines, but whatever it is that you choose, you have to make sure that you actually have fun doing it when you start out. If you're going to get way crazy, and I know we're going to get more into if you're getting more intense into it, then there might be some other drivers for you. But at first, you got to make it fun and enjoyable. Otherwise, you're not going to keep up with that habit.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And that, I feel like that comes down to educating yourself as well. Because a lot of people, they go in the gym, they're like, oh, what is the gym? Just like lifting things up and putting them down. It's like, well, you got to learn why. You got to know why you're doing this. Because if you don't know why you're doing anything, you're not going to stick to it. So always connect back to your purpose and your goal. But yeah, keep it fun. Okay, good. So the next question would be, what advice do you have for somebody who is kind of going but half-assing it? You know, they're like flip-flopping. They go once or twice a week, but they're having trouble with consistency. It feels more difficult than the habit's not quite there. They're in that gray zone. So Deanna, what would you have to say? And also with that, like they're not seeing results that they want, and it almost feels like a waste of time, and they're like on the verge of giving up. So what advice would you have for those people?
Yeah, I think it can become very frustrating. And for a person who was on diets her whole life, reaching that, point where you don't see results and you still feel that you're, doing things in that direction and not seeing results can be very frustrating. Mm-hmm. If my internet is not okay, and if you hear me interrupted, let me know. I'll try to fix it. Anyway, so I wanted to first say that something that was very enlightening for me is the curve of motivation. So when I saw how that looks like, I could understand
your internet is flip-flopping a little bit.
That we have ups and downs in our motivation. And our motivation is highest when we start something. On you, and then I'll see what I can do.
We may have lost her. Oh, there she goes. Well, I'll invite her again. Okay, Stefan, why don't you go ahead, and then I'll try to add her back.
Sure. I'll be speaking a little bit more on the mindset stuff. I know that's kind of coming up. But I think when it comes down to it, it is what are your goals is the biggest thing, and what is supporting it. But in terms of habits, I have my little thing. I have my visual aid for this go around. So if we're saying that your habits are, exercise, diet, whatever else it might be, if you're just saying just movement, I'm going to move.
Stefan,
I'm going to
are you able to mirror your camera? Because it's backwards.
Oh,
we can't
man.
see. I'm not sure if we know how to do that, but okay.
That's okay. I'll do it this way. I'll color it in like this, because then it won't really matter. So imagine that this little square in here is what you're focusing on. Those are your goals. Those are the things that you're generally focusing on. And that is your conscious mind. So the thought is that we're going, okay, I need to get to the gym. I need to make sure that I do this. But then you're also thinking, I need to make money. My significant other is upset with me. Oh my goodness, I need to think about my relationship with my parents. Like these things are your thoughts that you're constantly aware of. They only make up about 5% at most of your entire day. The rest is the subconscious. And unfortunately, even though you might be focusing on all the good stuff here, I know it's going to be mirrored, but it says trash habits on the rest of it. You might have a bunch of trash habits that are still there. And so the issue that can happen is what you're trying to do is you're trying to shove in a bunch of those good habits without letting go of the bad habits. So it's the same thing of, I'm going to eat this nice green salad, but I'm also going to eat some pizza. I am going to go to the gym, but I'm also going to make sure that I have plenty of time where I can just sit and do nothing the entire time. As opposed to finding what are those ways that you can start shifting overall, what are your priorities and why are you doing it? Because in my case, I'm talking about movement. If you're doing it for longevity, if you're doing it for not just the purposes of physique or aesthetics, but just thinking, I need to live a long life. I need to be able to pick up my kids and be able to interact with people more and not just groan every time I get up off of the couch, then it's not going to just be about increasing more and more of that exercise, but finding what is motivating you to move throughout the entirety of the day. And I think that's the biggest thing is when it comes down to motivation. I think that's kind of what Deanna was talking about, is it's sometimes so hard to find motivation because it goes up and down and up and down and up and down. And then asking, what is your long-term goal? Is it longevity? Is it kind of like, is it having great sex? Because for some people, that's why they go to the gym. What is your motivation that's going to make sure that you're there every single time and not flip-flop?
Mm-hmm. Very, very good point. Very good point. Deanna's back and your internet seems stable, so go for it.
Yeah, so I was talking about the motivation curve. The fact that our motivation is highest at the beginning when we start something, and that's when maybe, you know, for the first 3 days we go to the gym a lot or whatever. But ultimately, that motivation is going to sink at some point, and we're going to have lows and then ups again, and then lows and ups again. So just by knowing that, feeling one day that you're not as motivated as you were in the beginning, that's okay, right? So I think it's important to remember that and to honor that as well. But when that happens, my suggestion is continue to do something. So even if you don't go to the gym as you wanted for an hour or two or whatever, even if you don't go to the yoga studio for the class, do something that is, you know, like movement. Even if it's just 15 minutes, even if it's just 20 minutes, the idea is for you not to give up that habit of moving. So, and you know, statistics say that you shouldn't be missing more than one day. So if you decide, you know, on one day, if something happens, you really can't, your body says, no, please don't do that, whatever, yes, but the next day, just make sure that you continue that habit, because apparently if you miss things for more than one day, you risk actually, you know, giving up things altogether. So the motivation curve for me was pretty enlightening, because I always ask myself, wow, why can I be so disciplined and be motivated all the time and stuff?
I have a question about the motivation curve. Does it say exactly when that drops for most people?
I think it's different, but I think what is the main takeaway is that it's highest, it peaks right at the beginning, and then it drops, and it has a low, and then these intervals, you know, between highs and lows, they become lower and lower, right? So the idea is that your motivation is not constant, and actually it's also not increasing. So the highest is at the beginning, so you won't experience, or most of us won't experience that high motivation at the beginning, because we want that. We are expecting that we're always going to be motivated around and feel like everyone else is motivated us, which is not true. We all go through the highs and lows, but the difference is how we manage to honor them, I find. But even when you have those lows, just do something in the direction that you want.
Yes, I think we caught the tail end of that. And that's why goal setting is so important, because you have a new beginning more often, right? So that's why you should be changing up your program or flexibility program, whatever, every 4 weeks, because then you hit that goal and then you have a small beginning of a new goal. So then you have high motivation for that again. You accomplish it in 4 weeks, and then you start on a new path. And then so you're constantly doing something new, constantly in that state of like excitement, change, and you know that you are on track to your ultimate big goal. But for some people, you know, they set very lofty goals and then, yeah, super motivated in the beginning, and then it drops off. And in 3 months later, they're in the same place they were before. So short-term goals, so important. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Stefan, did you have anything else to add?
I do. I wanted to make a little clarification about something that I heard Deanna say, that I personally distinguish between is motivation and discipline. Because So motivation, absolutely fleeting, but discipline is that thing that stays. And I think what the line between it, and this is for those people that are truly advanced, or if you're looking to get advanced and consistent, is it becomes part of your identity. It's it's no longer the question of why am I not that person, right? Because now you're saying to yourself, anytime you go, why am I not motivated to go to the gym? Is you're saying, I am not motivated to the gym. I am not the type of person that goes to the gym, that enjoys going to the gym, as opposed to switching the identity of, I am the person that goes to the gym. I am the person that goes 3 times no matter what, and I don't substitute my workouts unless absolutely necessary. And so I think that's the part of where you no longer rely on the motivation side of it, that is just your identity. Because if you're somebody who frequently brushes their teeth, you don't have to tell yourself, well, why don't I have the motivation to brush my teeth? I'm just a person that brushes my teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's questionable how many times a day you're doing it, how consistent you are. Maybe you're just doing a little 20-second one, but you're saying, I am the type of person that brushes my teeth.
Mm-hmm.
You're not questioning that part of your identity. So I think that's the bigger, and that's a really, I know we're going to get into mindset, but that's the big kind of mindset thing, is what is your identity in terms of movement, exercise, and that's the game changer.
Love it. Love that. It's something that you said before, Stefan, too, that like staying in it and having those small wins, or no, anyways, I forget what it was, but basically you have to kind of be obsessed with that goal. And I know like a lot of people, like they just do the bare ass minimum, but like you got to be obsessed with it. If you want real results, if you really want that, you got to start finding ways where you can incorporate your exercise, your fitness into every aspect of your life, rather than something you just do once in a while, rather than something just like, okay, sweet, I got my 3 workouts in, check. Like that's not being totally in it. That's not being totally mind, body, spirit in it, because that's not going to get you results really at the end of the day. You got to be obsessed. It has to be your sleep patterns. It has to be your mindset around it. It has to be, what you're eating. It's all encompassing if you really want to get to it, and don't be afraid about being obsessed with it. Like when I was doing my bodybuilding show, like I had sticky notes on my mirror, in my kitchen to remind me about like my food, nutrition, and like I was writing stuff all over on my boards. But it's like that's what it takes. That's what it takes, and not caring what people think. So yeah, don't be afraid to get obsessed. Go ahead, Stefan.
Question for you, because no, that's a perfect thing about it. What motivated you? What was your goal in terms of being in a bodybuilding show, in terms of competing? Was it purely to be in a bodybuilding show and compete, or was there a bigger driver behind those goals?
I wanted to see how hard and how far I could push my body, because I know it's all about nutrition on those shows, not restricting, but like really being dialed in, being extremely disciplined. And I wanted to see how hard I could push myself. And so in a way it was proving it to myself. Yeah, you look freaking amazing, but that is a result of your mindset. That is a result of what you're doing behind the scenes, of the discipline, and nobody can take that away from you. And I think that's why a lot of people do this bodybuilding show. It's a test for themselves. Well, that's why I did it. And I was so proud of myself when I accomplished my goal. And even if I hadn't like won, I still would have been so proud, because I tried my absolute hardest, and that's what makes me a winner in my eyes.
So I just wanted the audience to hear it, because sometimes we get on here and we go like, the goal is to lift a little more weight. The goal is to look a little bit better, but there's always a further driver for the goal. There's always another reason. And in your case, it was empowerment. It was, how much can I do? How powerful am I with my mindset and my abilities as a human? And there is always so much more. And I think it's finding those that really keeps us consistent, because those are the things that motivate us. I think most of us are not motivated by the fact that we benched like 5 extra pounds. Like that means something else. There's an extra thing that means than just I pushed a little bit more weight.
Yeah, superficial reasons are nice, but then you got to find out that internal reason, like why. Deanna?
I think it's important though to distinguish that we don't have to have the same goal, right? So for me, I
practice, whatever it is, to feel better. I don't, honestly, to me, results as how my body looks is not as important as me feel. And depending on the goal, it might be enough to go just 3 times to a light practice.
Well, for me, the gym makes me feel amazing as well. Oh, it's cutting out.
Yeah, I know, and I'm sorry about it. I don't know what to do about the internet. I hope you're going to be able to hear what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say, Nikita, is that you are at one extreme because your goals are very, very high. But the normal person, a regular person, an average person who just wants, to feel good or to lose a little bit of weight, they don't have, I don't want them to feel guilty, or that I don't want them to feel that their goals are not high enough.
True. True.
I used to work out and put a lot of stress on myself because I wanted to lose weight, and I thought that I have to push myself and to work hard, but I was working hard from a place of not being happy with myself, and from a place of hate and of lack of self-love and self-acceptance, right? So I think a lot of us, maybe especially women, we go there and we have to be hard, and I have to punish myself in order to get results, and as soon as I got rid of that pressure, I started enjoying it a lot more, and going with and knowing, what, if I can't do 100% of this workout or of this class, it's also okay. I'm already here, and I'm going to be better, a little better tomorrow, and that's okay. So just also take it at your own pace and respect your body's abilities, and respect your limitations, honor those as well, right? Because it might not be the best thing for your body to, lift as many weights. It might not be the best thing to do cardio. So I think it's so important to know ourselves, to understand our objectives, and not to be necessarily influenced by the objectives of others, by how others look and what others tell us. To find our own path, kind of, our own type of movement, and that suits us and our body and our goal, and that we enjoy as you guide.
100%. Definitely, like, doing a bodybuilding show is not something the average person would want to do. However, even before that, I ask my clients, like, why are you doing this? And it is, if you can surround your goal, if you can start seeing the benefit of how it improves your mental state, how it improves your moods, and how you have less aches and pains in your body, how you're having more happiness in your life, like, focus on those things, and those things will get you through the tough times. And yeah. Good. And thank you for clarifying, because I don't want anyone out there to think like, oh, I have to set a bodybuilding goal. That's never, your goals are specific to you, but the point is, figure out your why, and really have that close to your heart for those tough days. So, okay, so let's go into the next question, mindset. So how much does mindset come into play with habit formation and consistency? So Stefan, I think you said you had some stuff to say about this already, so why don't you go first?
Sure. Some people would say mindset is like 90%, and the other 10 is whatever. I almost like, it's like 95, if not 99% mindset. And that just goes by, what is your definition of mindset? So I'm gonna pull this guy out again. It doesn't matter if you can read or not what it says on it, but it's back to this idea of, so we're constantly in that subconscious. We are constantly in the subconscious, and then whatever we can handle in the small area, and it's honestly even smaller. It's probably like this big, realistically. It's tiny. It's a tiny amount that we can actually focus on, and what our brain can actually do in a given moment. And so we have this mindset, especially now with all the hustle culture and everything, not just in exercising, but especially in exercising, of I need to do more, more, more. It's never enough. I need to do more. I'm not doing enough. And then we also have the thing of I'm burning out. Oh my goodness, it's too much to do. I can't think about all these. How does anybody do any of that? It's no surprise that we're overwhelmed with all this stuff. It is a lot. So my entire opinion about this, and this is my philosophy around movement and around so much of life, is that we are so concerned about how to do more and more of the good things, and we're neglecting how to do less and less of the bad things. So we think, how can I eat more greens? But we're not reducing the amount of junk food we're doing. We're just trying to add more and more of that stuff. We're thinking, how can I exercise more, but not reducing some of the things that are harming our body and that are making our body stiff, that we're just trying to counterbalance with all this exercise that we feel like we have to push ourselves to do. So when it comes to mindset, for me, I think that's a piece where so many people miss it, is they feel like they have to push themselves to do all of it, where in reality, I think all of us have said, when our bodies move, we feel good. I think when we push ourselves too far, our bodies do not feel that great. And we're like, okay, I am destroyed. I need to rest at this point. This is too much. And that is too much. We maybe shouldn't be pushing ourselves that far. But the difference between doing way, way too much and adding more to your plate, as opposed to finding what are those things that are ineffective and that are dragging you down, and trying to just do less of those. And gradually you'll find that your habits are just shifting over to the better side. Maybe not right away all the way to the good side, but to the better side. And I think that's way more manageable.
Love it. Love it. Really good tips. Really good tips. Mr. Spencer says, resource allocation is tricky because we don't tend to know just what has been allocated where. So I think he's saying, like, how do we know resource? I'm not sure if it was resource allocation or like time allocation to certain habits. Does anyone like to address that question? I'm not too sure what he means by that.
Well, I think we need to ask him, like, do you mean time allocation? Do you mean time building up those habits? Do you mean time focusing on a specific thing that you're trying to do? What do you mean by resource allocation? Your ability, your energy, your focus, your capacity to do those things? As he types away.
While he's replying, I'll give a little bit more of a mechanical chat, or look higher in the chat. Resource limitations mean that you have to switch a trash habit for a good habit rather than just add a habit. Yes. Yes, I think we addressed that already. Resource limitations mean you have to switch a trash habit for a good habit rather than just, yeah. I think that's what you covered, Stefan, pretty well.
I think the other thing that I will say is I do think it's that part that, yes, it takes a longer time than we think. And a lot of times we think, ooh, I'm starting this new habit. It means I'm no longer doing the other thing. Most of the time, because it's a habit, it's reflexive. Even though you just started going to the gym this week, it doesn't mean that you've replaced all the other habits. Most of the time, we still try to cling on to them because it's comfortable and we're in that comfort zone for a lot of those things. And it's going to be harder to change and grow.
And some of those trash habits are, let's just put it out on their line. Scrolling on your phone, like first thing in the morning. Just procrastination. When you have to do something, you're just dragging your ass. And this is why, like, going to the mindset part of it, this is why meditation is so huge, because you become aware of your thoughts. You become more aware of your self-sabotaging habits. And then when you're doing them, you gain that clarity to start being able to shift. And you're like, okay, I'm doing it. I'm scrolling too much. For me anyways, that's meditation really helped me just clear away those bad habits and be more aligned with good habits. Scrolling on your phone while you're at the gym. Exactly. Like when I'm at the gym, I put my phone on airplane mode. I don't answer it for anybody. I'm in there, in and out as best as I can. Change of context can help. Mr. Chuck Cheese says, new place, new country, shake it up a little bit. Yeah. Like keeping it interesting is also, keeping it fun, as Stefan said, keeping it interesting is huge. But going to the mindset part of it, I was going to say, yeah, about meditation basically really helps for mindset. And I've been there before where I don't feel motivated I feel like giving up, I ask, what's this all for? I ask, and so, I'm gonna be really real. Sometimes when I'm in this low of no motivation, I think I have this fear that like, oh no, this is the moment where it all falls apart for me. Like I'm not gonna be this healthy person anymore. And there's like that fear. I wouldn't say it's a sense of identity, but being healthy and happy is so important to my life that that fear of that almost keeps me from doing it. But when I'm in those really low moments, for what works for me is listening to inspirational speeches or very motivating speeches or music that is just like so inspiring. And that more than anything gets me out of that funk, because I don't reach out to people maybe as much as I should, because sometimes like you don't know, like you don't feel like burdening them. But for me, that really helps. There's some really good playlists on Spotify I'm happy to share with people. So in my toughest moments, those have really helped me, or watching motivational speeches on YouTube. So Miss Deanna, what do you, yeah, go ahead.
And for me, also reading some books. So again, I know I always bring this up, but this is what resonates with me. So when I read books and when I find, scientific evidence that these things work, then to do more. And regarding mindset, I would just want to invite everyone maybe to ask yourself, when you think of working out or doing what practice you're doing, whether it's dancing or yoga or running or going to the gym, if you close your eyes, what do you feel when you think about that? What free? Do you feel healthy, energetic? Do you feel stressed out? Do you feel disappointed? What is that feeling associated with the movement, type of movement that you chose for yourself? Because our willpower is an inexhaustible resource ultimately. So you can push yourself and force yourself to do something only for a certain amount of time, for a limited amount. So shifting the mindset into, I want to do this, I choose to do it. I do it because I enjoy it, not because I have to, or because someone else told me, or because that's what healthy people do. It's more about the fact that it's something that comes from within, something that you don't feel that you're forcing yourself to do. And this is why it's important to choose the type of movement that you actually enjoy. I think this is, really important to say, what, I don't like running, and that's okay, but I choose to do something else, something like basketball with my friends, or I don't enjoy, going out to the gym, but I like group classes because everybody else energizes me, right? So find something that you look forward to going or to doing. And again, as Stefan said, make it part of your identity. I am a person who works out regularly or who moves regularly. I am a person who enjoys this. I mean, for example, my mom, her whole life, she says that she doesn't like to move. She says it every single day. And even when she goes out, to bike somewhere nice, so it's a light movement, her mind tells her that this is not part of her identity, that she's going way out of her way to do it, right? But if it becomes part of you, I'm like you say, I'm a person that likes moving, that likes sports, and likes this, then your whole mindset and your whole attitude changes. It's a lot easier to go.
Henry Ford says it: whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Mindset is so powerful.
Exactly. Yeah, and we have Mr. Spencer who mentioned Atomic Habits. Great book. And also The Power of Habit. both of them. So Atomic Habits and the Power of Habits gives amazing, amazing and practical tips of how to create a habit.
Nice, nice. I haven't checked those out yet, but it's on the list.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Stefan, do you have something you want to say about mindset, or I think we have time for the last question?
I have been preparing my board for the last question, so
okay,
let's do it.
So we have two. We have one about environment and about the veterans, about how to keep it interesting. So did you have it about environment? Because
I think environment. I
okay.
think environment is going to be the more important one for everybody to get. Yeah.
Yeah, we've already beaten the other one with a dead horse. I mean, you know what I mean. Yeah. So
go ahead.
The next question is, how important is environment when it comes to building habits? Well, obviously it's important, but let's talk about it. Go ahead, Stefan.
So I will just also very quickly say about the veteran side of things. If you are a veteran, I think if you're still missing some of the points, go back through and really go like, am I doing all of these things? Am I dialed into all of these things? Because most likely most of us can still do better on some of them. And that's kind of the easiest answer. I think there's something for everyone in what we've talked about. So when it comes to environment, we tend to think, again, going to how our minds focus, and we tend to think, and I did my very best that even if this is mirrored, this is hopefully going to work. Okay, this is going to be hard. So imagine that.
I love it.
Imagine that you're trying to be calm in that amount of like chaos. You're trying to be like, I am smiling, and the smile isn't remotely somewhat purple, because purple is the best color, let's be honest.
Yes.
You're trying to smile and you're trying to go, okay, I am going to have a good time. I'm going to have a great gym session. It's going to be wonderful. And in this, okay, it's kind of doable. I'm still focused in on it. But then the environment gets a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more chaotic, and things keep on happening. And you think, hey, no, I'm focused in right here. This is where I'm looking at. My brain is focused right here. The reality is your brain is taking all of this in. It's taking in the entire thing, and your subconscious is still processing all of it. So if your environment is full of the bad habits or the things that reinforce consistently those bad habits, it's so much easier for you to keep doing this. And you feel like you're battling your own willpower all day, because you're getting the input that I need to be distracted by all this other stuff, as opposed to doing the thing that's going to make me happy and the thing that's going to make me fulfilled. Right? So in terms of getting to the gym, for example, why is that a better environment? Because the gym, besides your phone and doom scrolling on Instagram or wherever you might be, we're on Instagram now, it's hard for you to not work out. Everything there is designed to predominantly just have you work out, as opposed to when you're at home. And why it might be so much harder for some people to work out at home is because you have all the other distractions of all the other things that immediately get you to react to, oh, this is where I eat, this is where I watch TV, this is where I might play guitar. And maybe I'll bring out a guitar for one of these sessions for you guys. We'll see. I'm just naming things around. But I think that's the biggest thing about environment is environment, one, gives you the right stimulus and the right support for you to have in order to move and in order to keep up these habits. And then switching up your environment, it really helps you to start shaping those new habits. Even just going to a different gym, or even going and working out outside, even if it's just body weight, or even just going for a walk to a neighborhood or a park you haven't gone to, can really reinvigorate that excitement and maybe even jumpstart some of that motivation. So environment is huge. And I could talk more about environment, but I'll leave it there for you guys.
1,000%. It's like, this is why people go to school or libraries to study and learn. It's that you're in it. You're like a plant. Whatever soil you're put in, you're going to absorb the surroundings. So, Miss Deanna, do you have anything to say about environment?
Yeah, so they say that we are the average of the 5 people in our life, the most important or the closest 5 people in our lives. So if you were surrounded by people who are interested in health and movement and nutrition, then we are going to become more knowledgeable, and it's going to be easier for us to eat healthier and to move more if we have people around us that do that. So surround yourself and find your tribe of people who have similar goals with you. And of course, you find those in a gym, in a studio. It's easier than in other places for sure.
And I wanted to give a personal example. One of my good friends, she set up a 30-minute yoga challenge, a 30-minute workout challenge. And she said, okay, whatever it is, just move for 30 minutes minimum a day. You can just go for a walk. That's fine. You can lift weights. You can go to yoga class. You can go do a hike. You can swim. Whatever it is, 30 minutes. It's achievable. It's realistic. And I know there have been days where I was so tired and had, that low of motivation. But then I told myself, hey, 30 minutes, it's nothing. And then I can send on the WhatsApp group the done, with that green sign. And then she tracked it. Who wasn't able to do those, I don't know, 5 out of 7 days, had to pay the other ones. So she created this type of challenge and environment where if we wouldn't have been part of the challenge. And thank you for bearing with me, not supportive internet today.
We heard you okay on that one. It didn't cut out very much. That one was good. Yes, and that tracking, the accountability piece, I think that's huge, right? Having the support network is one thing, and you can find that online, right? You can just add random people on Instagram or TikTok and whatever, and like their stuff, and just build a connection. If you don't have anyone in that circle, if you don't have your spouse or whatever, the resources are out there, the people are out there. And something that I heard that I really liked was find someone who is a step above you to help push you, and then also someone who is maybe on your same level or just slightly underneath your level, so that you are inspiring to them, and you also have to set an example for them, so you're also a leader. Or find a diving buddy, someone who's on the same journey as you, doing the same things. But sometimes that diving buddy isn't always the best because they may lack motivation too. So that's why you got to find someone who's already a step above you. And, that's why hiring a coach is so beneficial, is that accountability piece. And another thing about environment is life, I feel is designed to distract you from your goals sometimes. And the real test is how focused can you stay? How important is your goal to you? And at the end of the day, it's a you versus you battle journey. I've had days where I'm sitting on my bed or sitting in my car at the gym, and I'm like, oh, I just don't want to go. And I'm watching all the YouTube videos, all the motivation, and it's just not coming. And it's just in those moments, it's you versus you. But I like to think of it as that is the test. That's the ultimate boss right there. And at the end of the day, there's people out there starving in Africa. There's people out there that have no legs. There's people out there that are getting bombed. And if that's the hardest thing, that you can't take care of your own health and fitness, come on, first world problems. Not to shame anyone, but just putting things into perspective. And it kind of goes back to gratitude, mindset. It's just being grateful that you have the opportunity to work on your body and work on your health. It's just putting things into perspective. We should be very grateful that we have this opportunity to do that. So Mr. Spencer says, how about nutrition to kickstart you for the gym after 10 hours work? As a noob, I find I can't get to the gym early, but I am not feeling it afterwards. Well, let's address the first question. How about nutrition? Oh, we have 5 minutes left too, FYI, before we get cut off. So how about nutrition to kickstart you for the gym after 10 hours of work? Well, you know what that takes? It takes organization on your end. If you know you're going to be working for 10 hours, bring food with you. Bring enough food with you so that you have energy, you're eating throughout the day, so that when it comes to gym time, you're fueled. You have that nutrition. But it takes that accountability, organization ahead of time so that you're not running into those types of situations. So does anyone have anything else they would like to add for that question?
Stefan, go ahead because you nodded as well.
Sure. hydration is probably like most of the time that people say that they're probably dehydrated. And the second piece, and this has saved me every single time. I honestly have not had it not work for me. Do a small amount of movement. It could be even at the job before you even like get in the car to go to the gym or whatever it might be. Do some tiny amount of movement. And for me, I go, okay, if I really don't want to move anymore after this, I'm not going today. My body's telling me I don't need to go today. I am truly tired. But most of the time, if I'm ready and it's truly just a mindset motivation kind of a thing, just a small amount of movement. I personally like just a little bit of light yoga. That's me. That really lets me know how's the body feeling. And if this is just a motivation thing, usually getting the blood flowing and getting some of those endorphins and the body feeling better gets me more into the gym.
100%, 100%. Just get your shoes on. Just the first like 5 minutes, it's the toughest. But once you start, you're like, okay, it's not so bad. I can do more, you know? Deanna?
And
We're hearing about 1% of what you're saying. So
say that I understand what it means to work out in the evening because
can you repeat that? I think your connection's a little bit better
so I
now.
wake up 30 minutes earlier. So the last thing that I'm going to say, hopefully is you're going to hear it. So
That's good.
I understand what it means to be tired in the evening and not to be able to work out. So this is why I wake up a little bit earlier in the morning and get that exercise in, because it will help you feel less tired throughout the day. It's going to motivate you. And if you start your day with a little bit of movement, you're going to feel that you've won already.
Yeah, totally. Fit it in before. If it's a priority, find a way to put it before. Okay, well, we have a minute and a half left, so we'll wrap it up from here. Thank you for all the viewers for joining. Thank you so much, Deanna and Stefan, for your time, your energy, your expertise, your opinions. It's very, very appreciated.
Quick thing, just based off of what Nikita was saying, guys. Nikita was telling you, hey, find those motivations, find those people above below that you can find. Ooh, I connect to them. You've got 3 people like that right here. So we that's what we do. That's why we're here, is to help and motivate you so that you're finding the things that are healthy for you. And we're very different in our ways, because that way you can find what fits you right and your goals. So use us as the resources that we are. That's all I wanted to say.
Totally. Finding that right coach person that resonates with you is so important. So, okay. Well, next week's topic is how spirituality and fitness are linked. And I know Stefan and Deanna, you're totally down with this kind of topic, so I'm very excited. And it's, it's a new age. This is the wave of the future. Mind, body, spirit. It's all happening, whether you like it or not. So join in next week and Thursday, same time. Thank you guys so much. And, give us all a follow, those that are watching. Give Deanna a follow, give Stefan a follow. We would all very appreciate it. Okay, bye guys. Thank you so much. Bye.
Cheers.